News of the Battle of Proxima spread across the galaxy faster than any ship could travel. The 5 human battleships had changed everything in less than 6 hours of fighting. On the bridge of the UNS Defiant, Admiral Harrison surveyed the damage to his flagship. The ship had taken heavy hits. Entire sections were open to space. 40% of its systems were offline. Yet it still fought, still moved, still killed. "Sir, the Vordax main fleet is in full retreat," reported Captain Allen. Her uniform was torn, and a cut on her forehead had left dried blood on her face. "All enemy ships are jumping out of the system." Harrison nodded. Around his ship, the battle was ending. The space above Proxima I was filled with debris from destroyed Vordax vessels. The surviving Zarkadian ships were regrouping, their commanders still trying to understand what they had just witnessed. "Casualty report," Harrison ordered. 27 dead, 53 wounded across the battle group. Allen replied. "The Guardian took the worst damage. 2 of her main reactors are offline." Harrison felt each death personally, but knew the cost would have been much higher without his decision to attack. The surprise flanking maneuver had caught the Vordax completely unprepared. The communications officer called out, "Admiral, we're receiving a transmission from the Zarkadian flagship. Fleet Commander Zenith is requesting permission to come aboard." An hour later, Harrison stood in the damaged conference room as Zenith and 3 other Zarkadian commanders entered. They looked around in shock at the exposed wiring and emergency patches that kept the atmosphere in. "Your vessel continues to function in this condition?" Zenith asked in disbelief. "We build our ships to take punishment," Harrison replied simply. "Redundant systems, compartmentalized designs, different philosophy than yours." The Zarkadians exchanged glances before Zenith spoke again. "What we witnessed today, it was unlike anything in our records. Your ships ignored standard battle formations. You closed to ranges we consider suicidal. Your weapons bypassed shields that have protected our vessels for centuries." Harrison shrugged. "We fight differently. Always have." "The Vordax captured one of your drones," another Zarkadian said. "They tried to study it before they retreated. We intercepted a transmission from their flagship to their high command." Zenith's 4 eyes blinked in a pattern Harrison had learned meant deep emotion. The message contained one line, repeated 3 times. "The warning was true. The warning was true. The warning was true." Harrison raised an eyebrow. "What warning?" The oldest Zarkadian commander stepped forward. "There is something we have not shared with Earth, something few even among our people know." He activated a small device that projected a hologram of an ancient stone carving. The markings were alien, but unmistakably showed a battle. Strange ships fired on each other while one vessel, different in design, moved among them. 3,000 years ago, a Vordax exploration fleet encountered a primitive world, the commander explained. They found a species just beginning to explore their own solar system. The Vordax, believing themselves superior as always, attacked one of their crewed ships. The hologram changed to show more carvings. The different ship now moved through the Vordax fleet, which appeared to be breaking apart. The primitive vessel fought in ways the Vordax had never seen. It closed distance. It fired solid projectiles. It absorbed damage that should have destroyed it instantly. Before the Vordax fleet could adapt, half their ships were destroyed. Harrison felt a chill as he began to understand. This primitive species was humanity, the commander confirmed. The Vordax fled, but they recorded a warning that became doctrine in their military for 3,000 years. "Whatever you do, don't let human battleships join this war." Harrison looked out the viewport at the battle debris. "They knew about us all along. They feared us before we even left our planet." Zenith moved closer. "Now you understand why some among us were cautious about contacting Earth. But now we also see that humanity may be the ally that finally helps us defeat the Vordax Empire." As the Zarkadians left, Harrison turned to Captain Allen. "Send a message to Earth Command. Tell them the Battle of Proxima was a success, But also tell them this: the galaxy is much more complicated than we thought, and humanity has been part of it for far longer than we ever knew. In the darkness of space, the damaged but undefeated human battleships stood ready, their very existence a fulfillment of an ancient warning that had echoed through the stars for 3,000 years. Admiral John Harrison stood on the bridge of the UNS Defiant, his hands clasped behind his back as he watched Earth grow smaller on the view screen. His battle group, 5 retrofitted battleships, formed a tight formation around the flagship. Course laid in for the jump point, Admiral, reported his navigation officer. Zarkadian escorts are in position. Harrison nodded. At 53 years old, he had spent his life preparing for space combat that most thought would never come. Now he was leading humanity's first interstellar battle group into a war that spanned hundreds of worlds. "All ships report ready, sir," said his second-in-command, Captain Grace Allen. "The Intrepid, Valiant, Dauntless, and Guardian are awaiting your command." "Very good. Signal the Zarkadians we're ready to proceed." 2 sleek Zarkadian cruisers moved alongside the human ships. Their hulls glowed with blue energy as they prepared to guide the Earth vessels through the jump to faster-than-light travel. Harrison addressed his fleet one last time before departure. "Men and women of Earth's first battle group, our mission is clear. Defend the Proxima system alongside our Zarkadian allies. We are not seeking to expand this conflict, but to contain it. Follow your training. Trust your instincts. Remember that the eyes of Earth and the galaxy are upon us." The jump was disorienting. Human ships had never traveled faster than light before. When they emerged, a new star system spread out before them. 3 planets orbited a distant sun. Above the second planet, flashes of light revealed an ongoing battle. "Status report," Harrison ordered as his officers recovered from the jump. "Sir, we've arrived at the Proxima system," Captain Allen reported. "Sensors show a major Zarkadian fleet engaged with Vordax forces in high orbit around Proxima II. The Zarkadians appear to be losing ground." Harrison studied the tactical display. The Vordax had caught the defenders in a classic pincer movement. Their ships fired relentlessly, overwhelming Zarkadian shield sector by sector. "The Zarkadian commander is hailing us," reported the communications officer. A tired-looking alien face appeared on screen. "Admiral Harrison, I am Fleet Commander Zenith. We welcome your arrival, but I fear you are too late. Our defenses are failing. We must retreat to save what ships we can." Harrison had studied the battle plans for days before deployment. The Zarkadians expected the human ships to take up defensive positions behind their main line, adding firepower but staying protected. But Harrison saw a different opportunity. "Commander Zenith, hold your position. We're moving to engage." "Admiral," Zenith replied, alarm in his 4 eyes, "your orders are to remain in a defensive posture. Your ships will be vulnerable if you advance." Harrison cut the transmission and turned to his bridge crew. "Battle stations. All ships form attack pattern Delta. Prepare all weapons systems." Captain Allen looked concerned. "Sir, our orders were explicit. Defensive operations only." "Sometimes the best defense is a decisive offense, Captain." Harrison pointed to the tactical display. "The Vordax have overextended their flank to trap the Zarkadians. They don't expect us to attack. They certainly don't expect human tactics." He gave the order that would make history. "All ships, execute flanking maneuver on the Vordax left wing. Deploy electronic warfare packages. Ready all railguns and missile batteries. Launch fighter drones in screening formation." The 5 human battleships surged forward, accelerating to attack speed. They moved like predators, not in the straight lines favored by alien fleets, but in a weaving, unpredictable pattern that made them difficult to target. The Vordax didn't notice the human ships until they were almost upon them. When they finally turned to face the new threat, the UNS Defiant launched the first attack. Not energy beams, but a swarm of small autonomous drones that overwhelmed the Vordax sensors. In the confusion, the human battleships closed to point-blank range. a distance alien ships never fought at, and opened fire with their main railguns. The effect was devastating. Kinetic rounds tore through Vordax ships, ignoring their energy shields completely. Nuclear-tipped missiles detonated in carefully calculated patterns, creating shockwaves that disrupted Vordax formations. From his command chair, Harrison watched as his 5 ships, considered obsolete by alien standards, tore through the enemy fleet like wolves among sheep. "Send to all ships," he ordered. "Press the attack. Don't let them regroup." The United Nations Security Council chamber was packed. Representatives from every Earth nation sat in tense silence as they watched footage from the Observation Task Force's encounter with the Vordax ships. 3 enemy vessels destroyed in under 5 minutes, General Frank Howard said as the video ended. He was a tall man with a stern face and gray hair cut short in military style, using weapon systems that are considered outdated by our own standards. President Kevin Richards stood at the podium. His normally calm face showed signs of strain. "Thank you, General. The question before us today is clear. Does Earth join this war?" The room erupted in voices. Some shouted for immediate military action. Others demanded continued neutrality. President Richards raised his hand for quiet. "We will hear from both sides. General Howard will speak for military involvement. Diplomat Olivia Grant will speak for continued neutrality." General Howard stepped forward. "The facts are simple. The Vordax Empire now knows Earth exists. They know our weapons can destroy their ships with ease. They will see us as a threat whether we join the war or not." He pointed to a map showing the Vordax advance across the galaxy. "Their pattern is clear. They conquer. They enslave. They destroy anyone who resists. It's only a matter of time before they target Earth. We should strike first, while we have the advantage of surprise." Howard's voice grew louder. "The Zarkadians have been fighting this war for 30 years and losing ground. With human battleships in the fight, we could turn the tide in months, not decades. Our kinetic weapons bypass their shields. Our electronic warfare blinds their sensors. Our tactics confuse their commanders." He finished with a simple statement. "If we wait, we fight this war on our doorstep. If we act now, we fight it far from Earth." When Howard finished, Diplomat Olivia Grant took his place. She was shorter than Howard, with dark skin and eyes that showed both intelligence and worry. "General Howard speaks of advantages," she began, "but he ignores the risks. We know almost nothing about this conflict. We don't know if the Zarkadians are telling us the whole truth. We don't know the true strength of the Vordax." Grant walked slowly around the room, making eye contact with each council member. "Earth has only recently united after centuries of our own wars. Our space fleet is small. We have 5 battleships total. 5. The Zarkadians and Vordax each have hundreds, maybe thousands of ships." She stopped walking. "Yes, our weapons seem effective now, but the Vordax will adapt. They will learn. And we will be committed to a war that spans hundreds of star systems, fighting an enemy we barely understand." Her final words were quiet but firm. "We should strengthen our defenses, continue diplomatic talks, prepare for conflict but not rush into it. A wrong decision now could mean the end of our species." As the debate continued, Alex Mason sat in the back of the room with Samantha Kelly. They had been invited to observe but not speak. "What do you think?" Alex whispered. Samantha's eyes were fixed on the holographic displays showing Vordax territory. "I think both sides make good points. But I also think the Vordax won't give us the luxury of time. I saw their communications. They're already calling humans the new threat and the primitive danger." On the main floor, President Richards listened to arguments from both sides for hours. Military experts, scientists, diplomats, each had their own view of what Earth should do. As the sun set outside, Richards finally called for quiet. "I have heard enough to make my decision," he said, his voice heavy with the weight of responsibility. The room fell silent. Everyone knew what was at stake: potentially the future of the human race. Earth cannot hide from this conflict, Richards began. But neither can we commit fully to a war we don't understand. He straightened his shoulders. My decision is this. Earth will provide limited defensive support to this Arcadian alliance. We will deploy one battle group led by Admiral John Harrison to assist in defending Key's Arcadian systems near our space. This is not a full entry into the war, but a measured response that protects Earth's interests while we learn more about our new place in the galaxy. As the council members reacted, some with relief, others with anger, Samantha leaned over to Alex. It started, she whispered. Human battleships are about to join this war. Commander Billy Carter watched the battle unfold from the observation deck of the UNS Vigilant. His small task force of 3 human ships hung back at a safe distance, recording everything. The sight before him was both beautiful and terrible. Hundreds of Zarkadian and Vordax ships fired energy beams across the void of space. The beams lit up the darkness like colorful lightning. Shields glowed as they absorbed attacks, and when they failed, ships exploded in bright bursts of light. Are you seeing this, Lisa? Billy asked his tactical officer. Lisa Mitchell nodded, her eyes never leaving her display. I'm seeing it, but I can hardly believe it. Their entire approach to space combat is nothing like ours. For 3 days, the human task force had observed the massive battle from a hidden position near an asteroid field. What they learned shocked them all. No point defense systems, Lisa noted. No flak, no close-range weapons at all. They fight entirely at long distance. Billy frowned. And no electronic warfare either. No attempts to jam signals or disrupt targeting systems. These ships are beautiful pieces of technology, Lisa said, but they have serious design flaws. Look at their formation. No overlapping fields of fire. No screening vessels. It's like they've never considered basic naval tactics. Billy had noticed the same thing. Both alien forces fought with amazing technology but used simple, even predictable tactics. Their warships were marvels of engineering but had vulnerabilities any first-year cadet at Earth's Space Academy would spot immediately. Commander, called out the sensor officer. New contacts appearing. Vordax reinforcements coming in from Sector 7. Billy turned to see a dozen new red dots appear on the tactical display. The newcomers quickly changed the battle. Zarkadian ships began to fall back as the fresh Vordax forces pressed their advantage. Sir, the battle is shifting toward our position, warned Lisa. If they keep going, they'll detect us in about 10 minutes. Prepare to withdraw, Billy ordered. We've seen enough. An alarm blared through the ship. Commander, 3 Vordax scouts breaking off from the main force. They're heading straight for us. Billy's mind raced. Their orders were to observe only, not engage. But running might expose their position even more. They've spotted us, Lisa confirmed. They're powering up weapons. Billy made his decision. Battle stations. Defensive posture only. The first Vordax attack came seconds later. Energy beams sliced through space toward the human ships. The UNS Vigilant shuddered as its shields took the impact. Shields at 60% after just one hit, reported the damage control officer. The Vordax ships moved closer, firing again. One of the smaller human vessels, the UNS Scout, took a direct hit and began venting atmosphere. We can't just sit here and take it, Lisa said, her voice tight. Standard shields won't hold against their weapons. Billy nodded grimly. You're right. All ships, defensive action authorized. Deploy countermeasures and ready all weapons. What happened next would change the course of the Galactic War. The human ships launched dozens of small, fast drones that swarmed toward the Vordax vessels. The alien ships tried to target them with energy weapons, but couldn't hit the tiny, quick targets. While the drones distracted the Vordax, the human ships fired their main weapons, railguns that launched metal projectiles at tremendous speed. The Vordax shields, designed to stop energy attacks, did nothing to stop the solid projectiles. The railgun rounds tore through their hulls, causing catastrophic damage. One Vordax ship exploded immediately. Another spun out of control, its engines dead. The third ship tried to escape, but was caught in a barrage of missiles. Another weapon type the aliens seemed unfamiliar with. The nuclear-tipped warheads detonated near the Vordax vessel, overwhelming its shields and breaking it apart. In less than 5 minutes, 3 advanced alien warships had been destroyed by what the Zarkadians called primitive human weapons. As the human task force prepared to jump to safety, Billy noticed that the main battle had paused. Both Zarkadian and Vordax ships had stopped firing at each other. All of them were now facing toward the human position. "I think we just got everyone's attention," Lisa said quietly. Billy nodded. "And I don't think we're going to like what comes next." The meeting room on Earth's United Nations Space Command headquarters was tense. Admiral Patricia Wells sat at the head of the table, her face grim as she looked at the Zarkadian representatives. "Let me be clear," she said. "An alien warship fired on one of our vessels in our own solar system. I think we deserve the whole truth now." High Envoy Krell glanced at his fellow Zarkadians before speaking. "You are correct, Admiral. We owe you the full story." He pressed a button on his wrist device. A holographic map appeared above the table, showing hundreds of star systems. More than half were colored red. "The Zarkadian Alliance has been at war with the Vordax Empire for 32 of your Earth years," Krell said. "The ship that entered your system was a Vordax scout, likely damaged and making a blind jump to escape our forces." Alex Mason, now promoted to diplomatic liaison, leaned forward. "You told us you were a peaceful coalition of 5 species." "We are peaceful by nature," Krell replied. "The Vordax forced this war upon us. They are conquerors who believe all other species should serve them." "And the scale?" Wells asked, gesturing to the map. Krell's 4 eyes blinked slowly. "The conflict spans 200 star systems. Billions of lives have been lost. Dozens of worlds burned to ash." The room fell silent as the humans processed this information. "Why hide this from us?" Wells finally asked. "Why approach Earth pretending to be simple traders?" The Zarkadians exchanged uncomfortable looks. Finally, Krell nodded to a military officer among their group. "My name is War Commander Zeth," the officer said. "I will tell you what my civilian counterparts find difficult to explain." He stood and approached the hologram, changing the display to show different ship designs. For thousands of years, space warfare throughout the known galaxy has developed along one technological path: energy weapons, energy shields, precision targeting. We fight our battles at great distances, ships rarely coming within visual range of each other. Zeth pointed to images of the UNS Dauntless. "Your ships developed differently. When Captain Nelson's vessel disabled that Vordax scout, it did something our ships have failed to do in decades of warfare. It used weapons the Vordax had no defense against." "Railguns," said Wells. "Basic kinetic weapons." "Yes." Zeth nodded. "To us, such weapons are ancient, outdated. We abandoned them millennia ago. But the Vordax, like us, have optimized their defenses against energy attacks. They have no effective countermeasures against high-velocity projectiles." Alex looked confused. "Are you saying our outdated technology is actually an advantage?" "It is more than that," Zeth replied. "Your military doctrine is unique. You build redundant systems. You design for close combat. You expect to take damage and continue fighting. Most importantly, you think differently about warfare itself." Samantha Kelly, who had recently returned from her mission aboard the Zarkadian ship, spoke up. "That's why I found that message, isn't it? Whatever you do, don't let human battleships join this war. You're afraid of us." The room went silent again. Zeth looked directly at her. "Yes, some among us fear what humans might do if fully unleashed in this conflict. Your approach to warfare is brutal by our standards. Effective, but frightening." Admiral Wells leaned back in her chair. "So what happens now? The Vordax know we're here." They know what our weapons can do to their ships. Krell stepped forward again. Now we must be allies in truth, not just in appearance. The Vordax will see humanity as a threat. They will come for your world eventually. Wells nodded slowly, then turned to her staff. I want a full assessment of our fleet capabilities compared to both Zarkadian and Vordax forces, and prepare the observation task force. Commander Billy Carter will lead it. She looked back at the aliens. We need to see this war firsthand before we decide how to respond. As the meeting ended, Alex approached Samantha. Do you believe them? That they're afraid of us? Samantha watched the Zarkadians leaving. Yes. And after what I saw in their communications, maybe they should be. Captain Ryan Nelson sipped his coffee on the bridge of the UNS Dauntless. Patrol duty in the outer solar system was boring work. Jupiter loomed large in the view screen, its swirling storms a familiar sight after 3 months of circling the gas giant. Another exciting day watching nothing happen, joked his navigator, Joe Peters. Ryan smiled. Beats paperwork at Earth Command. The Dauntless was an older vessel, not nearly as impressive as the newer ships in Earth's fleet. With a crew of just 28 and outdated weapon systems, it was perfect for routine patrols but little else. The calm morning changed in an instant. Captain. Unknown energy signature at bearing 047, range 200,000 kilometers. Called out Susan Green from the sensor station. Ryan put down his coffee. Identification. Nothing in our database, sir. It's massive. A flash of light tore open the blackness of space. A ship emerged, damaged and trailing what looked like blue fire from its engines. It was sleek and angular, clearly not human or Zarkadian. Battle stations, Ryan ordered, his voice calm despite the hammering of his heart. Weapons online. Communications, try to hail the vessel. Before they could make contact, a second flash erupted. 3 Zarkadian warships appeared, weapons already firing at the damaged ship. Sir, we're receiving an emergency channel from the Zarkadian fleet, Susan reported. The face of a Zarkadian commander appeared on screen. Human vessel, withdraw immediately. This is a security matter. We are pursuing a dangerous criminal. Ryan frowned. This was human space. Whatever was happening, the Dauntless had a duty to respond. Zarkadian vessels, this is Captain Ryan Nelson of the UNS Dauntless. You are in Earth-controlled space conducting hostile actions without authorization. Stand down immediately. The Zarkadian's 4 eyes blinked rapidly. Captain, you don't understand. The transmission cut off as the damaged ship fired on the Zarkadians. The battle was unlike anything Ryan had ever seen. Energy beams that could vaporize mountains, shields that bent light around the vessels. The power being thrown around would make Earth's strongest weapons look like toys. Sir, the unknown vessel is turning toward us, Susan reported, her voice tight with fear. Evasive maneuvers, Ryan ordered. Too late. A beam of red energy lanced out from the damaged ship, striking the Dauntless on its port side. Alarms blared as systems failed. Hull breach in sections 4 through 7. Shields failing, shouted the tactical officer, Eric Ward. Ryan gripped his command chair. Return fire. All weapons. The Dauntless was old, but there was one advantage to older designs. They carried physical weapons alongside energy-based ones. The ship shuddered as 4 railgun batteries fired simultaneously, launching tungsten rods at a fraction of light speed. On the view screen, Ryan watched the projectiles streak toward the alien vessel. The enemy seemed confused, making no effort to evade. Perhaps they were too damaged, or perhaps direct hits. Eric shouted. Sir, their shields didn't stop our projectiles. The alien ship listed to one side, new damage evident where the railgun rounds had punched clean through its hull. They're focusing solely on energy shielding, Ryan realized aloud. They have no point defense against kinetic weapons. He made a quick decision. Target their engines and fire again. The second volley was devastating. The alien ship's engines exploded in a brilliant flash. The vessel began to drift, clearly crippled. The Zarkadian ships had stopped firing, watching in what seemed like shock as the primitive human vessel disabled an enemy they had been struggling to damage. "We're being hailed by the Zarkadian commander," Susan said. The alien's face appeared again, all four eyes wide with what Ryan guessed was disbelief. "Your vessel should not have been able to do that," the Zarkadian said slowly. Ryan straightened in his chair. "You're in Earth space now. I suggest you explain exactly what's going on, starting with who these hostiles are and why you're fighting them in our system." As the Zarkadian began to speak, Ryan noticed other officers on the alien bridge staring at him with what could only be described as fear. Whatever was happening, it was clear that the galaxy had just become a much more dangerous place, and humanity had just announced its presence in a way no one had expected. Samantha Kelly adjusted her uniform as the shuttle approached the massive Zarkadian flagship. The alien vessel dwarfed her small craft, its hull shimmering with strange blue energy that rippled like water. "Senior Intelligence Officer Kelly, we will dock in 2 minutes," the pilot said. Samantha nodded, reviewing her mission one last time. Admiral Wells had been clear: observe everything, trust nothing. As Earth's official liaison to this Zarkadian delegation, she would live among the aliens for 3 weeks. Her real job was to find out what they were hiding. The shuttle docked with a gentle thud. When the doors opened, 3 Zarkadians waited to greet her. Their tall, slender forms and 4 blinking eyes still seemed strange to her, even after studying them for days. "Welcome, Officer Kelly," said the one in the center. "I am Threll, second commander of this vessel. Your quarters have been prepared according to human requirements." Samantha smiled politely. "Thank you for your hospitality. I look forward to learning about your people." Her quarters were surprisingly comfortable, though the gravity felt slightly off. A large window looked out into space, where dozens of Zarkadian ships moved in perfect formation. Samantha noted their positions, their sizes, their apparent functions. Many showed signs of recent repairs. Over the next few days, she attended cultural exchanges, scientific demonstrations, and diplomatic meetings. The Zarkadians were friendly but careful with their words. They never fully answered questions about their territory or their technology. On the 5th day, Samantha got her first real clue. She was being escorted back to her quarters when an alarm sounded. Her guide, a junior officer named Vril, looked suddenly afraid. "What's happening?" Samantha asked. "Nothing to concern yourself with. A minor drill," Vril answered too quickly. But as they hurried through the corridors, Samantha saw crews running to battle stations. This was no drill. She slipped away from Vril at the first opportunity and followed a group of officers to what appeared to be a command center. Hidden in a service alcove, she watched as Zarkadian commanders gathered around a holographic display showing a star system under attack. Red ships, clearly enemies, were engaging blue Zarkadian vessels. "The Vordax pushed through our defenses in the Talus system," one commander reported. 3 colony worlds are at risk. "Divert the 5th Fleet to intercept," ordered an older Zarkadian with elaborate markings on his uniform. "But High Commander, that would leave the human solar system exposed if the Vordax discover its location." The High Commander's 4 eyes narrowed. The humans must remain unaware of the true scale of this conflict. Their involvement would change everything. Samantha's heart raced. They were at war, a serious war, and deliberately keeping Earth in the dark. Later that night, she managed to access an unsecured data terminal. Using the translation software developed by Earth's linguists, she searched for information about this enemy called the Vordax. Most files were encrypted, but she found communications logs with repeated warnings about humans. One message stood out. "Intelligence from forward scouts confirms the human vessels are more dangerous than their technology level suggests. The primitives use kinetic weapons of frightening power. Whatever you do, don't let human battleships join this war." Samantha copied what data she could before returning to her quarters. The next morning, she confronted Commander Threll in private. "Your people are at war. Why hide this from Earth? Threll's secondary eyes blinked rapidly, a sign of distress, she had learned. It is merely a border dispute with the Vordax Empire. Nothing that would interest Earth. A border dispute doesn't require redirecting entire fleets, Samantha said coldly. My people deserve the truth if we're going to have relations with yours. Threll was quiet for a long moment. Some among our leadership believe humans are unpredictable. Your species developed along different paths than ours. Your approach to warfare is concerning. Concerning how? Your ships, your weapons, the way you think about combat. Threll's voice dropped lower. The Zarkadian Alliance seeks peaceful trade with Earth, not military alliance. That is all you need to know. But Samantha knew better. As she prepared her encrypted report for Admiral Wells, she couldn't shake the feeling that the Zarkadians weren't just hiding the war from humans. They were afraid of humans joining it. Lieutenant Alex Mason stood at attention on the bridge of the UNS Horizon, his crisp blue uniform feeling suddenly too tight around the collar. Today would be humanity's first official meeting with aliens, and he was the lucky diplomat chosen to shake their hands, or tentacles, or whatever they had. Nervous, Lieutenant? Admiral Patricia Wells asked, her weathered face betraying a hint of amusement. No, ma'am. Just ready to make history, Alex lied. His stomach was doing flips that would impress an Olympic gymnast. The massive view screen showed the approaching Zarkadian vessel. It was beautiful, sleek and silver, with glowing blue lines tracing its hull like luminous veins. It made the UNS Horizon look like a brick by comparison. Remember your training, Wells said quietly. They requested this meeting. They came to us. That gives us leverage. The Zarkadian shuttle docked with a soft hiss. Alex took a deep breath and walked to the airlock with Wells and two security officers. The doors slid open. The aliens were tall and slender with pale blue skin that seemed to shimmer under the lights. Their four eyes, too large, too small, blinked in different patterns as they took in the humans. The leader stepped forward. I am High Envoy Krell of the Zarkadian Alliance. We bring greetings from 5 united species across 27 star systems. His voice was melodic, translated through a device on his chest. Alex stepped forward. Lieutenant Alex Mason, diplomatic officer of the United Nations Space Command. Welcome to Earth's solar system. The meeting moved to the conference room. Maps and charts were shared, trade possibilities discussed. The aliens spoke of cultural exchange, scientific cooperation, and mutual prosperity. Not once did they mention war. But Alex noticed things. The way the aliens tensed when Admiral Wells mentioned Earth's defense fleet. How they quickly changed the subject when questions about their territory came up. The strange glances they exchanged when humans discussed weapons technology. During a brief recess, Alex approached the Admiral. Something's off, Mom. Wells nodded slightly. I see it too. They're being careful, too careful. When I mentioned our battleships being upgraded next year, the small one in the back, Lith, I think, practically jumped. Keep watching them, Mason. Something's not adding up. When the meeting resumed, Alex tried a different approach. The UNS Intrepid recently tested our new railgun system. The kinetic impact was impressive. Perhaps your engineers would be interested in an exchange of ideas. The reaction was subtle but unmistakable. High Envoy Krell's secondary eyes widened slightly. Another alien touched a hidden communicator on their wrist. We find projectile weapons interesting, if somewhat outdated. Our focus has been on energy-based systems, Krell replied smoothly. That night, after the Zarkadians returned to their ship, Alex reviewed the meeting recordings in his quarters. He played back the moment he mentioned the railguns. Something in their expressions. Was it fear? A message from Admiral Wells interrupted his thoughts. My office. Now. The Admiral was reviewing data when Alex arrived. Our long-range sensors picked up something interesting. The Zarkadians sent a burst transmission after our meeting. It was encrypted, but we caught fragments during decryption. She pushed a tablet toward him. On the screen was a partial message. Humans more militarily advanced than expected. Recommend caution in all dealings. Must ensure they remain unaware of. Unaware of what? Alex asked. That's what I want you to find out, Lieutenant. They're hiding something big. I'm assigning you to the diplomatic team that will visit their ship tomorrow. Yes, Mom. And Mason, watch yourself. We know nothing about these aliens or their true intentions. They're being polite, but that doesn't mean they're friendly. Alex nodded, a chill running down his spine. As he turned to leave, Wells added, one more thing. I'm increasing our alert status. Whatever game they're playing, I want Earth ready if it turns ugly. Alex walked through the quiet corridors of the ship, the weight of his new mission heavy on his shoulders. First contact was supposed to be humanity's great moment. Now it felt like the first move in a dangerous game, one where humans didn't know the rules or the stakes.